Welcome, everybody. We are the Public and Legislative Affairs Committee, and we are meeting tonight, October 27th, 2025, here all virtually with us tonight. We have Dr. Scallon, we have Dr. Valenzuela, we have Board Member Sawtelle, Board Member Ali, and Board Member Noor. So we are fully staffed and ready to roll. Tonight's agenda is mostly going to be focused around two things. One, deciding what our legislative priorities are, or another way to say that is there will be more bills that add to our list as we go through this second part of the session. But we want to have some like guardrails that will help us decide how many bills or what bills we want to track, and then we can also, that having clear priorities will also help us figure out what kinds of actions we want to take on bills. And so that is our first priority. And then our second priority is to look at the bill tracker again. I've added a lot of information and want to go over that with folks so that over the course of the next week, you can get into that bill tracker, start learning about the bills, so that next week when we come back together for our next committee meeting, that we are starting to decide what are our priority bills and what are the actions that we'll be taking on those bills. Does that make sense to everybody? Yeah, great. Okay, so really quickly, let me just make sure that everybody has the tracker link. I just put that in the chat for folks that are in the panelists. We don't have any attendees today, so we don't need to do public comment. But if folks wanted to come on into this bill tracker, and just as a reminder, so we're in the second session of this legislative session. And so that means that the bills that we'll be seeing in this session are bills that were carried over from the first session. Additionally, they are in the process right now of deciding if there are any emergency bills that might be added to this list of bills. And so we'll see those, but any emergency bills have not been added into this spreadsheet yet. I am hopeful that maybe in the emergency bills, we might see some more things around food access, since we know that SNAP is both ending, and with the government shutdown, there is no funding there. But we'll have to just wait and see. So I'm going to share my screen, and I want to just like review this quickly just to get us back in the right mind frame of the kinds of bills that we are looking for, or going to be looking at this session, and then we'll discuss what our priorities are. So again, in this bill tracker, we have the LD number, which is the number of the bill. Here's the title. Who carried it over, so who made the decision to say let's keep this on the table for next time. I have hidden a column of who sponsored the bill, which will be helpful at a later time. But then we have a description of the bill, and so this description comes from directly from the government website, and I'll show you where it comes from in just a few minutes when we start digging into this. I'm just going to scroll kind of slowly through this. So, and there's a couple of things that are like an act regarding education, an act regarding driver education. Those are bills that don't have a lot of language on them yet. They're just kind of like placeholders at the moment. So we don't have to worry about those too much right now, but you'll see them like 295, 354, 446. So we'll see that. But other things that we have educational programs, school capital improvement fund, data. There's lots about data. And I had added things about Wabanaki rights to this as well. driver's education, language access. Yeah, there's a couple about pay for teachers, an act to protect the children of Maine. So there's lots of areas on this that are there, and I think it would be really important for us to get to a place where we have 3 priorities. So what I would love to do, and you can keep scrolling through this on your own too, to just remind yourself of all the bills that are in here. But I would love to just hear from committee members if they have ideas about what our priorities should be based on, what we're seeing here, also based on previous conversations, and just any general thoughts. And also I would open that up to staff as well. And we'll just see if there's commonalities and we can form a list that way. Yeah, board member Noor, go ahead.
I had a question
Yeah.
about the question. Are you asking specifically about bills that we would like to focus on, or just categories and general topics?
Yeah, great clarifying question. Thank you for that. This is just categories or topics that we feel like are important, not specific bills.
Okay, so to that, I would add, I did see there was a couple about curriculum. So I think or any curriculum state changes would be a great priority.
Yep. And can you talk a little bit about the why behind that?
Yeah, I just want to keep in the know of any changes that are happening curriculum wise, because I know we're changing a lot on our side. So just to stay updated with that.
Beautiful. Thank you for that additional context. Board member Ali or Sautel, do you have thoughts?
Hi. I'm really interested in, the bills that talk about human rights and protecting children and things like that. I'm concerned about, well, I'm kind of curious, like, who sponsored them, because some people say they're protecting children's rights when they're really talking about, controlling who can play what sports, or they're talking about supporting curriculum when they're really talking about controlling what can and can't be taught. So it doesn't mean we're not interested. It just means we might be fighting against a bill rather than working in favor of it, if that makes sense.
Makes total sense. Yeah, I've noted that. Board member Ali, did you have a thought? Is that a head nod no or yes?
Can you hear me now? Okay.
Oh, now we can hear you. Yeah.
I don't have any right now.
Okay. And I think kind of where I'm coming from, school funding and school construction feel really important to keep an eye on. The school funding, because I do think that we might see some bills come through as emergency bills. I don't know that for sure. But then in relation to school funding, and there is a bill about construction, that I think we just have to continue to look for additional funding to help with the upkeep of our buildings and potentially, high school of the future. So I think that feels pretty important to me. Dr. Valenzuela or Dr. Scallon, is there anything that feels particularly important from your perspectives?
Go ahead, Grace, if you want to go first. I think the budget, and the construction are two important things that I can see. Just wondering, where is 1971, LD 1971? I know it doesn't have directly to do with education, but it's something that we should be watching for, I think.
Can you tell us what it is, Grace?
That is the bill
I can add it.
that was
Yeah.
sponsored by Representative DeLocke in terms of local law enforcement partnering with ICE.
Yeah, that's very important. Thank you.
I'm sorry.
That's important. Thank you. It's important. Thank you.
Board Chair,
Awesome.
I know it is on the
Yeah,
governor.
we can.
It's not, it's out of the legislature now. It's in the governor's hands.
Yeah, and I have an update about that if you guys want to hear about the bill. Our boss has left. We have to wait.
did she drop again?
I think it's internet.
Let's give her a second.
How about now? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. Can't see you, but we can hear you.
Yeah, I'm going to keep my video off in hopes that that will give me some more bandwidth. I'm not sure what's going on. That bill, we can get more information on it again or in a bit, but I think to me that falls under kind of like the human rights category that Jane had mentioned. And so I think it makes sense. We can go back and do another scrub for bills like that. But I think that makes a lot of sense to include. And did somebody say something else about it? Did you say it's on the governor's desk, Grace?
I have an update, insider's update on that bill specifically.
Okay, yeah, go ahead and give it now.
Yeah. So close to the one legislator has told me that the reason why it won't be, they don't want the governor to sign, the governor doesn't want to sign to the governor's office is because it could be seen as anti-authority, anti-policing, right? So, and because she's running for Senate, that's the reason why she is not probably going to sign it. And if she doesn't sign it, it automatically goes into law. The other thing that I was talking to the ACLU about this, and we were kind of discussing it. They stated that it will go into, like, she has no choice other than to pass it, or she has like 4 days after they start session in January. If she does not, it automatically goes into law, that bill specifically. And they have also stated that it's because of her running for Senate. It's very questionable, and that comes from the governor's office. So, yeah. And if it does get vetoed, right? If that does get vetoed, Jacob Delac's bill, there's another vehicle of another bill, and that one is going through by Representative Amreen. She has that's gonna be the next bill that they're gonna put in on behalf of ICE as well, and they're gonna try to get through that, and that's from the ACLU.
Beautiful. Thanks for those updates. And I can go back and just double check about what bills are still on Governor Mills' desk right now. Great. So what I heard from folks is that it sounds like there are 4 interests from this committee, which is 1, keeping an eye on any bills that are related to curriculum, any bills that are related to human rights and protecting all children, school funding, and school construction. Is there anything else people are thinking about?
Board Chair, if I can just add that I think that last topic around school funding, or whether that was the third topic, include some other areas that are not directly funding, but would have impact on funding, or impact on expenses. The one that jumps out to me is the question of overtime pay for teachers. And so I think if we group them the way you described it, that'd be good. And if there was a way that we could sort of tackle those that I feel like the committee may not be all for or all against, would also be helpful to do early on, just to get a sense of whether we're going to act on it or not, but to have some of those
Yep.
harder conversations early.
Yep. Okay. That makes sense. So I think, I don't think having 4 priorities instead of 3 is horrible moving into this legislation, or this session, especially because I do think that we may see like a federal impact on curriculum bills coming through, which I think also line up with kind of student rights and protections. So I think that having the 4 of these 4 buckets makes sense to me. And I'd be putting forward a motion to have our priorities for this session, that they are curriculum, human rights, school funding, and school construction. So I'd be looking for a second on this list. Thank you, Board Member Sautel, and thank you, Board Member Noor. So I had a second from Board Member Sautel. Are there any questions about that motion or any discussion? Then I'd just be looking for a vote on whether you're in favor of having these 4 areas be our legislative priorities for this session. And you can do that by raise of hands because we're a small group. And I am raising my hand. Okay, so that is unanimous. So we've got our legislative priorities, which is awesome. Thank you all. And, I think just keep in mind that, if we get into January and the world shifts or anything, which you never know, but we can always bring this back and adjust if needed. So our bill tracker, and just show a couple of things here about how I would ask that you use this over the course of the next week, just so you can get more information about these bills. So we'll start here at bill number 127. So you'll see it's hyperlinked over here, so you can just go and click on it, and then it's going to take you to main.gov page. When you come into this bill, you're going to see a lot of things. So over here on the left, and everybody can see this, right? It's still showing this page. Okay, great. Over here on the left, you're going to see PDFs of the bill. And sometimes you'll see multiple versions of it. But if you click on the PDF, it will open the bill. And this is all the language of the bill that they have on the record. So up here, you'll see co-sponsors, and then you'll see the actual language of the bill. Some of the bills are short, some of the bills are long, but if you scroll all the way down to the bottom of the PDF, there's always a summary here where you can start to just see and get oriented to the bill. And if you want more information, then you can go back up into the bill and look at it. Over here, like these are all line numbers that they use to reference if there's amendments or things like that. So that is what a bill looks like. Other things that are helpful and again, none of us here are experts in this, but these are the things that I am learning. So over here, all the way on the right, you'll see the list of sponsors. And so you can check out and see what counties they're from, what party they belong to, and that is also listed here in the spreadsheet if you are in the spreadsheet. but you can look over there. And then the next thing I have been looking at in here is the testimony. So if you go over to this left bottom side, you'll see anybody that has submitted testimony for this bill up to this point. And if you remember, like when the bills are in committee, they hold work sessions and workshops, just like we do, where the public can come and give testimony. And I think it's really helpful to kind of look at a couple, and also you can see where they are writing in from, which helps. So like here is Jerry Reed from the governor's office. They wrote in opposition of this. So anytime we're looking at a bill, we're also kind of trying to understand the landscape of who is supporting it and who isn't, because that will help us understand kind of like who are the people that we need to speak to in our letter of testimony or in-person testimony, right? So you've got, so you can see kind of how they outline their opinion on this bill. And then you can go to somebody else, like Senator Craig Hickman. Actually, that's a copy of his bill. Hold on. And you can see why they are supporting this bill. So I think it's just helpful to kind of, and it's a lot. So I mean, just like choose 2 or 3, see what you can find out about the bill, get enough information so that you feel like you can have an opinion on the bill. And the opinion may be, I don't care about this bill, or I don't know enough about this bill, or we need more information to understand the bill. Those are all perfectly fine ways, but I just want everybody to have enough information to know what they need or the way that they want to weigh in on the bill. So if we go back to this spreadsheet, so next week when we meet, we will talk about each LD. And we will say, what is the board's committee position? So do we want to support it? Do we want to oppose it? Do we have no position on the bill? And then if we can get through that, then we will choose kind of what action we want to take at this moment, which could be written testimony, in-person testimony, no action. Like we could support it and just take no action. That's a possibility. Or we could just say, let's keep tracking this and see how it kind of like moves through, and then make a decision the next time we talk. And then another column here is whether or not we want to ask community for support. And Dr. Valenzuela, I know that we haven't really created a plan for that yet about how we would ask community and how we would communicate to community about upcoming bills. And so I was just wondering if you might be able to help us or to like inform that by next week when we come back. Or it doesn't have to be next week when we come back, but in the next couple of committee meetings, if you could suggest a process for how we would engage community around any particular bill.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Awesome. So what questions do people have? Okay, so I'm going to do an, oh yeah, go ahead, Board Member Sawtelle.
Do you want to flag any that maybe aren't, or have you already done that? Taken out any that maybe don't fit into what we said our priorities were? Did you hide some of them?
No, I have not taken out any bills yet.
Okay.
At this point, I think we should use committee to decide that, as opposed to me making that decision without everybody involved.
Okay, thanks.
And I would like to look, so these ones that say an act regarding, so we can look at one of these because I still have some questions around what this really means, and I don't understand fully yet. So if you go to the original PDF here, this is all that's included. It's a concept draft pursuant to Joint Rule 208. This bill proposes to enact measures regarding education. So I think it's a placeholder, but I don't entirely know that for sure. Board Member Ali, do you know anything about these kinds of bills? Okay, but if you go back here, there's also a fiscal note that is just a draft as well. So I think it's something we can keep an eye on, but I don't understand. Yeah, and I don't know if it just means that this will be like where all the bills go that then move. I don't know. So I can also reach out to Robbie. That's a good idea. So I'll
Okay,
ask-
excuse
yeah.
me, I was in the
No, that's okay.
restroom.
No, that's okay.
You want me, I'll give you a little an explanation, but so you can put it, you have a limited amount of time to put in a bill, like a specific time. So that bill has to go in, even if it doesn't have language. So say someone puts a bill in, they don't have to have any language on it. It just be an act, blah, 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 blah. And for example, the one I was talking about with Umbreen, she has a bill that's put in with no language, right? So she can just put that bill in. That means that, okay, now there's closage. You can't add any more bills for this session. And only this session, you can only add emergency bills. So it has to be approved by the Speaker of the House to be an emergency bill. And if it is accepted and it doesn't have any language, then it's fine. What happens is during the discussions, the work sessions that you stated that the committees have, that's the opportunity and time they have to edit or amend the bill, right, until the vote on the committee, then it goes down to the floor. So all of the ones that says that are emergency bills that were just put in, doesn't mean it's accepted yet.
That's super helpful. Thank you. So then probably all these acts are going to be like, we're just going to continue to track those, right? Because we don't actually have any info on them. Superintendent Scowen?
I was going to say, it looks like they vary a little bit. So if you look at 324, there's some content there, and it talks about a grant. So I think they vary a little bit, but not to
Okay,
be
so we should not
not to be different than Ali. I think
automatically assume. Yeah.
I just we have to be careful with that. And then can I ask a question about for our next meeting? And this goes a little bit to Board Member Sautel's question. Should we chunk these in a way so that maybe we think about the first priority and all of those bills, and then the second, and sort of work through? And so do you want us to prioritize in any way on this? I'm just thinking that we may not get through all of them on the 3rd.
Yeah. I could go through and then let's see. What I was thinking is that if we added like what priority the bill was connected to and then started to evaluate them by like priority 1, and then anything that's not linked to a priority, we would just not worry about evaluating next week. Does that sound right to folks? Okay. We are also, I just appreciate that we are building the plane here while we are building an airport. So so I appreciate your.
You're cutting out a little bit too.
A little bit was a kind way of describing.
Yeah, you're cutting out a lot.
The best systems here to do this. Ali?
Yeah, you're
Did you
cutting out a
have
lot, Sarah. But yeah, I mean, honestly, I think it's just real easy that we could just go ahead and go through them one by one. But I mean, I don't know if this is well feasible, but it's just like we can just like skim them, because I even like the first one. It says something about oversight, government oversight committee that has records and privilege of confidential information that are records, blah blah blah. this may be interesting because it could be talking about gender and sex and whatnot. So things like that could just put priority in when it's not.
Yeah.
And if we don't know, we can just leave it as blank.
Yep. Yeah, I feel like that is kind of in the student protections box, right?
Yeah,
So
that's important, even though we don't know exactly what it says, but why would they request records that are exempt from public disclosure?
Yeah. Agreed. Okay. So I will, well, we don't need that one. So what we can do is I can go through there and start coding them. And then next week we'll just walk through it. It'll be clunky the first time we do it, and it'll get more efficient as we get a sense of what we're tracking.
It gets interesting, guys. It actually gets like a little, you go
No,
down this rabbit hole and
I
it's,
know.
yeah.
Buckle up, everybody. We have a little bit, this is like the calm before the storm. So we'll get a good foundation going. And then it's possible, like once they get into session, like things could change, you know, so we'll do our best to get a good foundation as we go in, but we'll just, yeah, ride the waves as they happen.
So when you write
Yeah, go ahead.
continue to track, that states that there's no language, right?
There's what?
No language. For example, number 4, LD 295, it says continue to
Yeah.
track. I clicked it, so there's no language. So continue to track is going to be like, we don't have information on it, right?
Right, and we're just gonna like keep an eye on it, but right now we're not making any decisions about any actions that we're gonna take.
Okay.
Sound okay to everybody? Okay, beautiful. Anything else that anybody wanted to bring up? And I just apologize for not asking that in advance of this call. But if there's anything anybody wanted to bring up into this agenda, we can make the time now. Okay. Well, then I would be making a motion to adjourn. I'd be looking for a second. Beautiful. Oh, wait, Dr. Valenzuela has her hand up. Hold on. Come on in, Grace.
I'm sorry. I just wanted to ask
That's okay.
about in the previous meeting that you have asked for a meeting with school faculty during Wednesday meetings. So I just want to know if you got those dates.
So we, Grace, they did.
Oh,
I
good.
believe
Okay.
that, they were shared both in the board update, and I'm just looking to confirm that they're on the board sort of event calendar. Give me one second. They are.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure because I think we have one coming up on Wednesday at Lemon Moore.
Yeah. Yeah. And so for board members, if you look on the calendar, there's a staff engagement, and it highlights where it is.
Yeah.
I didn't understand the 2 board members for the East End, the Island Schools meeting. What is that, just because you're anticipating more people, or why did it say that?
I think that was put down by Dr. Atkinson Duena. So she was thinking that if the speaks has staff has something specific, they could be in 2 separate groups instead of just one big group, and they can also be late because of the boat. So they just, they will be together with East End, but they will arrive later, and as such, they may need another board member for that. That's it.
And those are different than what I think of as the sessions that are happening on Wednesday and Thursday of this week. So Wednesday and Thursday of this week is like their board listening sessions. The 2 sessions that the board has had with staff, one virtual and one, I think, at Deering, is really board. This is something I'm doing with staff to check in here, and inviting board in case you're interested to join, because sometimes there's very unique questions or discussion depending on the school. And so it's less pressure for the board to have to cover all of these, because we'll share the notes. But that's sort of the variation on this.
And I would just say to everybody on this committee and any other board members, and I'll put this in our report, that those daytime ones are harder for me to get to. And there's so many of them that I'm just not going to be able. So as much as people can help and be present there, that would be super helpful. And again, like these are sessions that Superintendent Scallon is hosting, so it's different than the others where we were hosting them. So not as much pressure to be there.
So as long as, I mean, there's gonna be, if as long as it's on the schedule, we're gonna see it, right, Ryan? It's gonna be on schedule.
Yeah, and I think that the other, because I've gotten feedback from staff when I promoted the, the board hosted one, and the feedback I got from my email is that, if the board wants to meet with us, it'll be better to use this time during our staff meeting, because then they are there. So I just want to put that in as something, that commentary that I've received.
Mhm. That's helpful, Grace. Thank you for adding that. I'll add that to our report. Is there anything else around community engagement that you wanted to make sure we talked about? Either Superintendent or Dr. Valenzuela?
I mean, I will just add, I said this just a second ago, but just to be more explicit about the details, is just a reminder to the community that may tune in to watch this video, is that we have a listening session with the board at the United Way on Wednesday at 6 p.m. And Thursday's listening session is virtual, also at 6 p.m. The link is available on our website. And those listening sessions so far have been really great. And I would say primarily focused on the boundary committee work and looking at what neighborhoods go to which schools for elementary and middle school. But the board has also been very interested in engaging on other topics that folks may be interested in. And so it's just a great opportunity to engage in that.
You said Wednesday or Thursday?
Wednesday is at the United Way of Southern Maine at 6 p.m.
Okay.
If I'm picturing that right, that's on Forest Avenue.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then Thursday is virtual.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Beautiful.
Okay, the last thing I was gonna say is I'll be more than happy. Like I'm gonna continue to get feedback from representatives. There's other bills that are being worked on, and I'll get some updates if need be from the advocacy table. So if you guys need anything, just let me know.
Perfect. Yeah, and as you get updates, if there's anything you want me to incorporate into the agenda for next week, let me know.
Okay, will do.
Beautiful. So I'm going to make a motion again to adjourn. Is there a second? Board Member Ali. Beautiful. So all those in favor of adjourning? Okay, that's unanimous. So we're going to go ahead and adjourn at 8:13, and just reach out if you have any questions. But otherwise, we'll see you, well, tomorrow and then again next week for more committee. All right, take good care, everybody.